What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Sorry for the couple-week hiatus. Andrew and I have been very busy, not only with work, but just life in general. So we're going to try to get you a good episode right now and then pump out hopefully a couple in the next week or two.
Albeit maybe a little shorter today.
Right, to kind of make up for our lack of content. We thought it'd be a good idea to talk about, in general, the current state of Marvel. So obviously, as you all know, our first episode, we asked the question if Marvel has ruined or has kind of changed how people look on current cinema and how...
Superhero cinema.
Right, superhero cinema. How new directors maybe will frame their movies to mimic or mirror what Marvel's formula is because they see that works, that's what makes money. We sort of, from the current movies in, what is it now? It's Phase 4 now.
Yeah.
All the Phase 4 films sort of been lackluster, nothing really very great. We did see the Eternals, and we both sort of had the same thought on it. Like, it was all right, it was fine. It exceeded my expectations, but we're gonna get into that, talk about our thoughts on that. I think it's kind of relevant too now to the times with the anticipation of what should be a huge opening weekend and much anticipated film with Spider-Man No Way Home. I know you're cautiously optimistic to see it.
I don't even say optimistic. I just say cautious.
Yeah.
I think No Way Home is probably the most... It might be a little tough. Might be split down the middle. But I think probably Endgame and No Way Home are the two most anticipated Marvel movies
for
ever.
Sure.
And I don't know if that's because of the fact that it's Spider-Man and that Spider-Man is arguably the most popular Marvel character. Probably was, and always will be.
He is, of course.
Or,
I mean, you can argue he kicked off Marvel when you think of it. Like, Marvel as we know it now.
Yeah, I mean, in 62, in 62, when Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby were coming up with all these characters, I mean, Spider-Man was by and large the most popular.
Of course, comic book alone, yeah. I'm just saying from the Sam Raimi trilogy.
The movie
standpoint, cinematic standpoint, I mean, that really kicked off the success.
I think those movies kind of... Well... I can't really... I was going to say they kind of solidified the superhero genre, but that would kind of be discounting like the Tim Burton Batman and the Christopher Reeve Superman.
That's fair.
But I mean, modern superhero cinema, they were definitely a pillar. But I also don't know if the anticipation for this movie is just because it seems like anticipation for Marvel movies grows every time a new one comes out, or maybe it's because the rumors that Tobey and Andrew might be in it.
Yeah.
I don't know, but honestly, I think this one is going to blow away the box office, even in post-pandemic numbers.
Well, let's kind of hold off on that, because that'll, I feel like, be a chunk of this episode talking about that. And we also obviously plan to do a review on No Way Home, of course, because there's going to be so much to dive into with that. But let's I guess start off with your opinions, your thoughts on the recent Marvel television shows, which I think, Phase 4-wise, they have definitely been much better than what the movies have offered.
A quick disclaimer here, before we talk about the TV shows. I have not finished What If at the time of this recording, nor have I started Hawkeye.
I haven't started Hawkeye either.
Granted, there's only a couple episodes of Hawkeye, so I wouldn't feel comfortable talking about that in a review standpoint anyway.
Yeah, we can kind of leave out those two.
Yeah. That being said, I think WandaVision, well, in general, let's just say, I think the Marvel TV shows have been much better than the Marvel movies in Phase 4.
Right.
Just flat out. I think that WandaVision was, with a couple of exceptions, borderline masterclass television.
Oh my god, it was...
With the exception of some small things like Evan Peters' part, I cannot forgive...
Quicksilver, right?
Yeah, I cannot forgive Marvel for doing that, because they know for a fact that Disney just bought Fox for $50 billion and change. They could have chosen any actor. They chose Evan Peters, who played Quicksilver in the Fox X-Men universe, and then they made a dumb, childish
I think
joke
they knew
to play it off.
I think they knew exactly what they were doing.
No, they totally knew.
Because they were placating to the X-Men series, the Fox, after kind of, excuse my language, but kind of swinging their dick around for just buying the whole rights for Fox and stuff.
Yeah.
And because it's kind of like like the true Marvel fans.
Multiverse.
Yeah, we know this isn't Pietro. We know it's not Wanda's brother, but it is her brother, but it's not her brother.
Right.
It's like kind of...
We know it's Quicksilver, but not Quicksilver.
So I get... And I remember at the time when it was out, we talked about that a lot, and I didn't have an issue with it. I just kind of walked to... I was like, all right,
I had an issue with the payoff.
I guess I'll accept this by it. Like, he was kind of fine, like, in the show. I don't think he took away or added much to it.
No, I think the problem with it was the payoff when I think it's Monica. I always get confused if it's Monica or Maria. When she's in the attic with him and
Right.
and his last name is Bohner. I was like, oh, haha, you're making the 6th graders laugh now?
Yeah.
It's just stupid. Otherwise, that show, I think, is top-notch. The character development.
That right there is what everything you and I can't stand about the dumb, stupid comedic moments that are in current Marvel films.
Right.
That have to be thrown in there.
Right. Which
is stupid 6th grade penis jokes. It's like, can we just get back to it? Like, Wanda, this was a great show, but yeah, that scene just felt different. Mm-hmm. It wasn't the same. It didn't have the same congruency as the show did. It definitely felt different and kind of awkward. That whole attic scene, I was like, again, that's like a scene that like definitely could have been cut and nothing would have changed. My opinion on the show. Yeah.
But I think overall that show, WandaVision, was unbelievable in the script, in writing, and character development. It was so grounded and deeply serious in terms of building Scarlet Witch as a character, as the formidable force that the comic books knows she is. And the scenes with her, breaking down towards the end of the show because she's finding out that this whole world that she didn't know she created is fake. Right. With her children disappearing and Vision going away. He's dying for the 3rd time or something?
Yeah.
White Vision was incredible, and the way that they played off regular Vision with White Vision and the ship of Theseus, unbelievable.
I'm interested to see what happens with that, because he got away, if I remember correctly.
Well, he flew away, but he was kind of in shock from gaining the memories and the humanity back all at once, that he kind of had to go away.
So it's definitely a cliffhanger, and I can't wait to see what they do with it. But yeah, it was great.
Especially since she hears the voices of her children at the very end.
Yeah, I went into the show just kind of, I guess, expecting just a generic, regular, I guess, Defenders-esque type, of show, just superhero-based. It had a lot of depth, and they, really dove into Wanda's character a lot. And like you said, I remember you said something to me once, because you had watched a couple episodes before I started, and you were like, you said something like, Christian, you will see how powerful Scarlet Witch is in this show. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. But, I mean, to literally intentionally create your own reality, and my biggest gripe, with WandaVision was Agatha. I think it, took away from how powerful and kind of she kind of stole the spotlight from Wanda.
I know what you mean.
And Scarlet Witch, and kind of overshadowed her, and it's like, well, wait, I was behind everything actually.
Don't worry, because she's getting her own show
right too. That I'm not gonna watch because I don't have any friggin' interest in it. I'll probably just look up a 10-minute friggin' summary of it so I stay on the same page. But yeah, she bothered me and just was very in the end was so underwhelming and just wasn't even a threat. But yet they made her to be this huge threat. You're like, there's no way she's gonna stop her, and of course she does.
Such is the problem with a lot of villains.
Yeah, and I did wish we got to see a little bit more of Vision, because I did like him, and he's again also a very, very strong, underrated superhero, I think, in the MCU.
Yeah.
That people don't realize how strong he is.
Because this show also had him kind of rediscovering his humanity. Right. Or discovering it more than he had in something like Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I thought WandaVision was very good. I enjoyed it. I liked it way better than I thought. Seeing all this, they obviously announced all the slate of shows that were coming out. I thought that WandaVision, I just wouldn't really care for, but I was pleasantly very surprised, and my expectations were,
Yeah, I was blown away by that show. Yeah. That was so good. What was next?
So yeah, it was Falcon Winter Soldier. So yeah. I, for one, loved this. This was definitely my favorite out of the big three, being WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, and Loki. This was just such a good show, mainly because I love the relationship between Cap and Bucky. That's what kind of kept me going and kept my fandom going to its peak, really, I guess, for lack of a better term, throughout the MCU, throughout, the whole Avengers and stuff, and Steve just never giving up on Bucky, after, Bucky, in his early life was always looking out for Steve. Steve obviously repaid the debt, and now you see that dynamic between him and Sam. And Sam, I think, was a very sort of underutilized character prior to this show.
Yeah, as the Falcon, I'd say so. I mean, he was even cast to the wayside in Age of Ultron, saying that he spent the entirety of the movie looking for Bucky. But at the same time, like, it would have been cool to have him be with the Avengers during Sokovia.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never even realized that till now, that he kind of took a back seat, because he did kind of play a much bigger role in Captain America 3, a movie I know both of us don't really think is great and definitely could have been better, but definitely had great action scenes for sure. You can't take that
The show,
away.
Falcon Winter Soldier?
No, Cap 3.
Oh, yeah.
Plot and story-wise, it's a different
not as great.
Story. It was great to kind of see Sam as the lead role, and of course, spoiler alert, he became, as I call him, Captain Falcon, the new Captain America, and oh my god, that shot of him coming through the building in the glass
suit.
smash. I literally was like, I swear to God, this is gonna sound so girly, but I was like, oh my god, that is so sexy. I screamed
really
back.
Is. That suit and Scarlet Witch's suit at the end of WandaVision, both of them sexy as hell. Spot on to the costume designers.
Costume designers. I mean, A++. I swear to God, that was
really, they were both.
They knew what they were doing. It worked, and I get the point of the show, how he kind of was resistant and didn't think he deserved the shield in the beginning of the show, and then Wyatt Russell's character I thought was sneakily pretty good
Unbelievable.
too. Unbelievable. What's his? I forget his agent.
U.S. agent.
Yeah, and
his suit too. You see at the end, the black suit,
right?
Slick.
You were saying that, you're like, he's probably gonna get his black suit. He was great, but I remember the massacre he faced on social media at the end of the first episode when he's smiling with the shield, the amount of people that lost their mind.
Yeah, but you can just chalk that up to bad lighting and camera angles.
Right, but
I mean, I remember seeing it. He looked like a child wearing a helmet that was too big.
Right, but I think people were just like, that's not Captain America. That was kind of
That's literally the whole point of the character.
Exactly.
That's it. It's not Captain America.
And this is where we get back to kind of a lot of the current Marvel fandom are just wearing rose-colored glasses when it comes to this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Where I like to think I can look more past what's just on the surface level. I know for a fact you can, because you've read all the comics, you know a lot of these backstories, and you critique things fairly no matter what. I like to think I'm the same, but I do feel like that's something else we can talk about. Sort of, I guess, I can't speak for everyone, but just from what I see on social media, everyone just, again, lack of a better term, kind of just dicking anything Marvel throws out there is just gold. It's great. Does it get fairly criticized? I, for one, think mostly it kind of doesn't.
Not usually.
For instance, Shang-Chi, right?
Yeah.
First half of the movie, I was totally on board. It was something sort of new. It had a kung fu-esque type of superhero, which is something they need. I'm all for, getting more and more minorities, in the limelight to be front and center. And it's just, there's so much you could do with that. There's so much content. There's so much untapped potential you could get into. They had something going. That bus scene, man, was holy shit. That was such a great scene. The choreography, the fighting.
It was very,
the level of
very,
suspense.
very fast paced. It was a good scene.
It was such a great scene. And then it just lost me, the whole family dynamic and him, going back and forth and, hating his dad and then just forgiving him. But, right at the end, it was just, there was, no payoff.
Yeah,
I said, my main synopsis of that movie is that everyone in the writing room just threw their ideas on paper, and the execs, producers, directors, writers, the people that have the final say were like, this is all great, let's throw it all in the final movie, and if it fits, it fits, if it doesn't, it doesn't. People will still go see it and love it, because it's Shang-Chi, it's a new character. And I think that's what happened.
That's exactly what happened.
I was just so disappointed. I'm like, you had something so great going. It just took a fucking left turn, dude. It just lost me halfway through. It really did.
Well, that movie really, I think, in a lot of points, fell victim to, like you said, poor writing. which in turn leads to poor characters and character development, character relationships, character interactions. Everything was just, it was really like tossing and turning. Exactly like you said, you know, Shang-Chi goes, they go to that magical village, and at one point he's standing on one side of the river and he goes, I'm gonna kill my dad. And then he jumps to the other side, and as he's landing, he's going, I don't want to kill my dad. And I understand you could pass that off as maybe something like, you know, indecisiveness because it's your dad. But when the entire movie is showing Shang-Chi's childhood as basically being borderline brainwashed and abused by his father,
right,
and clearly he has some sort of resentment for his father because he did that, seeing as he just left and abandoned his father, right, ran away, didn't do the assignments that his father sent him to do as an assassin. That clearly shows that Shang-Chi has some ill will towards his father.
Exactly. If they just focused on his father being the antagonist and that's it, right? That left out all that demon, other world, his mother's family from the other dimension. If they left all that stupid shit out...
they still could have gone to the Magic Village and not had the dragon and everything.
Okay, but just, like, say they kind of referenced it or something and, like, you saw it or whatever. It was, like, it did exist somehow. Like, I just think that by having that, they were there protecting our realm, Earth, from those demons they had trapped behind the brick wall, the wall there. And then, like, his dad was the enemy the whole movie, and then it's like, oh, we have a bigger enemy, and then it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type of deal going on. And it's like, I forgive my dad for basically, like, tormenting me my whole life and just tapped pretty much and, like, you know, brainwashing him really to be an assassin at a young age. And then he left, and it's like, not to kind of steal from Star Wars, but kind of have that, like, father-son story and then maybe figure out other storylines down the road.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to combine all these different things. The one thing I did like that was solid and that was concrete throughout was, you know, Shang-Chi really loved and cared and followed the words and wisdom of his mother.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, throughout because she was nothing but genuine.
That was very consistent throughout the movie.
So, the relationship with his dad, it just was, like, so messy and just, like, so sloppy. And I just, like I said, I can't, like, let it slide. I can't give it a pass because it was just, the payoff was just not there.
Yeah.
And it was just so poorly done, poorly written. And like you said, he had little to, like, no character development really throughout the movie because he already knew his capabilities and who he was.
Right.
And he was trying to live and lead another life. Mm-hmm. And so, it, you know, what really changed besides him
not much.
Getting the rings at the end, which, again, everybody saw that coming. Everyone and their mother saw it coming.
If you want to watch a movie like that, there's this one from, I think, 2002 called Hero. Go watch it.
Yep.
If we can backtrack a little bit to the TV shows again, I think if we're talking about the possible future plans of Marvel, I think Loki is probably the most solid contender for that out of everything that's been out so far. I mean, first of all, I thought Loki was pretty good. It wasn't bad, but I don't think it was phenomenal. I think Tom Hiddleston, for taking a character that story arc was done, like Loki was finished. He came full circle. His arc was done. There was no more storytelling.
Times.
I know, but there was no more storytelling to be told.
Exactly.
I think that Tom Hiddleston took his new chance at Loki and ran with it. I think he did great during the show. Yep. Sophia DiMartino.
Yes.
Who was Sylvie, of course. Yep. She, fantastic. Loved her.
Kind of like a B-list actor when you think of actress, and, you know, she exceeded, again, like I keep saying.
Yeah, she was top-notch.
Exceeded my expectations. I was like, oh my god, this lady is phenomenal.
Yeah. The show, to me, was a little, let's say, average up until the episode where they get into the Timekeepers. Was it Timekeepers? The three dudes. They get into the Timekeepers room. And that, to me, was incredible. Because I remember watching it and having them fight. And then the Timekeepers, you know, one of them gets decapitated. And they go, oh my god, they're robots. What do we do? And then Loki just, boom, gets erased from time. And my mind was like, oh my god, Marvel is finally committing to killing a major character. They're like, this is awesome. And then the end credit scene hits like 30 seconds later, and Loki's not actually dead.
Right.
I will say, though,
you had to see that coming, because look who you're dealing with the character.
I didn't, because I honestly thought that they were going to finally end Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and then they were going to continue the character of Loki, with air quotes, as Sylvie.
Yeah.
And she was going to be the new Loki in the
No, that's
MCU.
fair. Because it's the same.
But the episode after that, where he goes to the wasteland and he sees the other Lokis, that episode is top notch.
Yeah.
Especially, I forget the actor's name. He plays classic Loki, and he's conjuring up the fake Asgard for the Cloud Fanforstic Galactus lookalike dog to destroy. That scene is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think that when you get to the end and you finally meet, what's his name? He Who Remains? Kang. When you finally meet Kang, that's when it starts opening up to seeing possibly where the MCU is going to go in the future. Because I think that they're starting to gear up towards multiverse, which I've always been shaky about, and you know that. Like right when Disney first bought X-Men and Fantastic Four, and you can attest to this, I said that they're going to go the route of the multiverse, and that is very dangerous.
Yep.
Because now they can do legitimately whatever they want and say multiverse as an excuse. For example, if this happens, I'll give you a bank account number to send your royalty checks to. If and when the X-Men get introduced into the MCU, or even the Fantastic Four, Marvel can simply say, Loki and Sylvie opened up the multiverse. These X-Men characters came from their universe to the 616 MCU. That's it. And that's all the explanation you're going to get.
Right.
And when you're watching that with, your Marvel blinders on, you're going, oh my God, this is great. We can finally see Wolverine fight the Winter Soldier. In the moment, that's kind of cool too. But when you have past movies like Iron Man and Captain America 2 that are just so damn good in their writing and storytelling, how infuriating and even belittling to an extent is it to just have these filmmakers say multiverse.
Extremely.
We didn't feel like coming up with a better explanation.
It's just a simple
Here's
cop-out.
the multiverse.
That's all it is. It's a cop-out. And it's just like you said, it's an excuse. It's a kind of get-out-of-jail-free card.
Well, it can be an excuse. I'm not saying it is or will be an excuse. Because, to be totally honest, if Spider-Man No Way Home goes the way that people expect it to go,
right,
having Tobey and Andrew and Dr. Octopus and Green Goblin and Electro and all them in one movie, if they can handle it properly without that movie being a 2.5-hour trailer for Doctor Strange 2, I think this movie could almost reach Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
If they do it right.
Yep.
If they handle this properly. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how that properly way is. But I'm saying I'll know it when I see it. And if they do it, this movie will be phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I think that that'll very slightly but surely restore my faith in the MCU and their future projects, because my faith has been shaken lately when you get into the movies like Black Widow and Shang-Chi. A little bit Eternals, because it was like as a middle of the road as you can get with the movie, especially a superhero movie, I think.
Yeah, let's kind of get into that. The Eternals at this point, after seeing Black Widow, which was just I was very disappointed with, was not that great.
Yeah,
Shang-Chi, I kind of was expecting to not be good. It wasn't. I went into the Eternals that really has zero to no connection or really no need to go watch, because yes, it's in the MCU, but it's not in the MCU, right? It's not a continuing story of.
It's in the MCU by name,
right? So I just went in with zero expectations, and honestly, I enjoyed it for the most part. Action-wise, the fight scenes, I thought the CGI, and again, visually, you can never say a Marvel movie is visually bad. It's just you can't.
Well, Chloe Zhao helming this movie.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
Let's have Marvel start touting around Academy Award-winning director.
When you think of it, it's besides Salma Hayek and Thana, I don't know, I always forget her name. Angelina Jolie, thank you. I know who she is, I just always forget her in this movie. There wasn't any other star-studded cast members. It was all kind of secondary people that I think perfectly fit in it. They all worked well off one another.
Yeah, Kit Harington, Richard Madden.
Yeah, no,
they're known for their Game of Thrones role.
Yes,
but I understand what you mean. Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie have a very
film-wise,
they have a very studded career behind them.
seriously, dude, now that I think of it, out of all three, I think I enjoyed Eternals the most.
Oh,
out
me
of
too.
Black Widow
Me
and
too.
Shang-Chi.
No question.
Like, seriously, because maybe it was sort of, it was almost kind of a break from what the current, or at that time, what we think could be the current trajectory of the MCU, which is not looking great,
it was
right?
a bit
Because
refreshing.
it was. But something you said earlier about introducing the multiverse, I just think it can create so many problems.
Oh, for sure.
For instance,
I totally agree.
something that I'm worried about, and I've talked to you about a lot, is all of these end credit scenes, right?
Yeah.
They seem to just be an end credit scene to leapfrog to either one of the other TV shows. For example, the end credit scene in Black Widow, jumping into Hawkeye, basically with Yelena saying, "Oh, this is who really killed Black Widow," and like, so she's clearly going to have some role in Hawkeye.
Which one is not true, and two, I don't know how she even knows that, because that happened on Vormir.
Right. But all these end credit scenes in those movies, like Shang-Chi, and, you know, like, all of a sudden Bruce Banner's back to Bruce Banner, and he's not Hulk Banner. Like, so...
Well, all of a sudden, Bruce Banner was the Hulk.
And Captain Marvel has long hair again. Like, it's like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I don't need to see them. I don't really care. In my opinion, their stories are done. As I've seen, as someone put it online, Hulk is retired. But it's like, what are they doing with that? Is that just... okay, maybe that's to leapfrog into Shang-Chi too. Okay, fine. My whole point with this is, it seemed like from between Marvel's, you know, phases 1, 2, and 3... of course, they knew what they were building towards, which was obviously Thanos.
Well, they knew as early as 2012, Infinity probably War. Even earlier.
Right. So they were obviously building towards something. But I'm going to ask you this question, Andrew.
Okay.
What is Marvel Phase 4? What are they building towards? If you had to guess, or does it just, or does my theory seem more true, that they don't really care about building an extensive yet connected universe? They just care about individual films, and they'll figure it out later.
I think it's a little bit of that, because when you look at it, it seems like Kang the Conqueror, and therefore the multiverse, is what they're working towards.
Right, but that's not film wise. That's show. I'm talking.
No. Film wise too, because you have Spider-Man: No Way Home, open up the multiverse. Yeah. You have Doctor Strange 2, called In the Multiverse of Madness, featuring Scarlet Witch. So you're going to have watched WandaVision. Mm-hmm. And then you have Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, that's going to feature Kang the Conqueror. So to me, that's what it looks like it's working towards. However, at the same time, I hope they're getting...
Right. I do. I really hope you're right.
I hope so too. But at the same time, it looks like they're getting to the point where they have so many characters that they need to start having these branching storylines. Now, think of it this way. Why in the hell would you have a Falcon and Winter Soldier show that has to deal with the multiverse? Okay? Right. Or why would you have, you know, She-Hulk that's coming out later? Or Moon Knight? Mm-hmm. Or Ironheart? Or Miss Marvel? Yep. Why would those deal with the multiverse? The problem is that in phases 1, 2, and 3... for the most part, there are a few exceptions, I think, they had all of these different films and characters, but every single one, again, for the most part, worked towards building to Infinity War and Endgame.
Yep.
Okay? It seems like now what's happening is they have this, think of it like a tree, right? They have this very thin trunk going up saying multiverse, 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 multiverse. Mm-hmm. But then you have branches going... Falcon and Winter Soldier, She-Hulk, Ironheart, Miss Marvel, the Marvels, and it's all branching out. And there's going to be a point where when you have a friend come up to you and say, I really want to start watching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where do I start? You say, perfect, phases 1, 2, 3, and parts of 4. And then that's going to throw them off. And that's where I think the Marvel Universe is kind of starting to split, and not really in a good way, personally, because their whole... foundation is built on this connected universe.
That's my point. Yep.
But I think in between phase 3 and phase 4 there was some disconnect that went on. Yeah. They went from connected universe to expanded universe. Right. Especially now with the multiverse, now you're going to have to start telling people, okay, we'll watch phases 1, 2, 3, parts of 4, but also watch the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Venom. You might as well watch the Batman movies too, because you never know. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just going to get way too much.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not saying necessarily they should stop the MCU because it's getting too expansive.
Bottom line, you got to find some level or way to keep it in check.
The thing is, I think they already found how to keep it in check with phases 1, 2, and 3, and somehow they got to 4, and they're like, we should do literally everything else.
Yep.
But what I also don't understand is characters like Ironheart, Riri Williams. Like, I remember a couple years ago when they made a big deal about this is the character's debut in the comic books, it's their first issue. That was a couple years ago, and I have no problem with new characters, but think about it. You have a slew of Marvel characters that go all the way back to the 60s that you still haven't included in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, maybe you have plans for Riri Williams, Ironheart. You need to fill that Iron Man void. But what's Rhodey doing right now?
Right.
Nothing. Have him fill that
retired
void.
too.
Well, they're having a show called Armor Wars that have to do with him.
He's crippled, I guess.
Well, okay, fine, but still, you have these secondary characters that are ready for promotion to the big leagues, to the A-list Avengers, that just aren't getting that promotion yet because the MCU is so focused now on introducing brand new characters that nobody really even knows because they're only 2 years old in the comic books and the source material.
Okay, I think they can be going down a path that leads to them becoming out of control, and they will not know how to get it back on track.
They're just going to have to start labeling their films MCU main series, MCU side projects.
Maybe. A great quote from you, as you always say, everything's about money.
For sure.
So that's what it comes down to. I think they're like, you know what, we'll focus on I'm sure, I hope, I trust the people, the execs, of course, Kevin Feige and John Watts, the director of the first two Spider-Man movies, Tom Holland movie, like those were fantastic. So I have a lot of faith that No Way Home is going to be very good, and hopefully that's the movie that gets them back on track, and they're like, okay, we have a path now, multiverse somehow, but they're gonna still you can't say like, oh, they're gonna have a multiverse and extended universe and whatnot, and not have Bucky and Sam. You need them to be connected.
I totally
somehow.
Understand.
I mean,
thing is, I don't think they have room in what they have slated for Phase 4 for another Avengers movie.
But like, I can't wait for Captain America 4, whenever the hell that is. Like, I'm just so excited for that movie.
Right.
That's something I know it's probably not till 2024 or whatever.
Probably more than that.
Yeah, but that's something to look forward to.
But I think it's with the same production team, at least the writing crew, as Falcon and Winter Soldier. So while Falcon and Winter Soldier wasn't my favorite of the Marvel shows, you're still going to have that same style of progression and character relationship between Bucky and Sam. I think Sebastian Stan as Bucky in that show was top notch. Yeah. He was so good. And Daniel Bruhl as Baron Zemo. I mean, I feel like I can't not mention how good he was in that show. Oh, he was phenomenal.
He kind of redeemed himself to me because I didn't care for him. I didn't like how he was kind of the guy behind, the kind of puppet master, I guess, in Civil War. I didn't really buy that, but he's a great actor and he fits so well.
I'm just so happy they gave him his mask.
Soldier. Yeah,
that was.
Again, it's just funny because like the episode before, you're like, he's gonna get his mask soon. I bet. Like, watch, Christian. He's gonna get his suit and everything.
The purple and of course mask is so nice to see him wear that mask.
Listen, man, they know how to satisfy freaking day one fans, comic book readers like yourself.
They know how to do costumes. I'll give Marvel that. They know how to do costumes.
Costumes and visuals, you'll never hear me complain.
Except for Shang-Chi, CGI sucked.
That just I hope that movie kind of.
But the Eternals was.
I don't even know how we got sidetracked, but listen, was the whole idea about them basically existing to breed a new celestial life to blow up the earth and become a new, celestial that's gonna do the same thing, create whatever he wants? Was that intriguing or great or interesting or something sort of we haven't seen before? Not really. That wasn't like the best part of the movie.
That wasn't why I stayed awake in the theater. Let's put it that way.
Right. It was the interaction between Icarus and all the other characters. I mean, I think that guy Richard Madden. I mean,
he's a great
definitely. In my opinion, he stole the show.
Think so?
Yes, I do, because he had I didn't love how he kind of went back and forth towards the end, but you could kind of see his struggle him trying to please the Celestial, but then trying to be loyal to his, the other Eternals
his
and
family,
and stuff, and his family. So, it's something that is sort of relatable, that people kind of can be misled and, get to a point in their life where like everything they thought they knew was wrong, and it's like, that was great to see that struggle. So it was kind of cool. But yeah, I thought he, nailed it. He was very good in that movie, and everyone else, like I said, did a great job too. And it, plot wise, story wise, like it, not great.
It was
fine. It was all right.
My favorite Eternal, and I don't know exactly how to say his last name, but Barry Kogan,
Mm-hmm.
Druig.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I loved him. He was my favorite.
He's
Especially
solid.
that scene in Technoctilon where everyone's murdering each other down at the bottom of the steps, and he's talking to Ajax, Salma Hayek, and he says, I can stop this.
Right.
I can control all of their minds and tell them to drop their weapons.
Yep.
And he was really the first Eternal to deviate from Ajax and the plan.
Yep.
Because after she said, don't do that, he said, screw you, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And he walked away. And I think that was like a really pivotal moment for all of the characters, because then they realized, like, we can just walk away. Like, we're done. We don't have to do this anymore.
Which is literally what she ended up telling them like 5 minutes later.
Yeah. So Druig was my favorite. I really liked Gilgamesh.
He was great.
Gilgamesh was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he was so concerned with just protecting, I mean, mostly Thena, obviously, but protecting the well-being of the family in general. And he was the big powerhouse, but he was also, the comforting one that cooked for everybody.
And I
he
swear
was
to
the voice
God,
of reason.
he looked and reminded me so much of Wong's brother.
You
like,
said
seriously,
that. You said
like,
that in the trailer.
they look like identical. Seriously, like, they do.
Yeah.
I'm not.
So I mean, all the actors and characters were fine. One thing that I really want to talk about is, and this is like probably a big spoiler for the Eternals, so if you haven't seen it, skip ahead, is the inclusion of Harry Styles as Eros Star Fox. And I want to make it very clear, I do not at all have a problem with Harry Styles as an actor. Flat out. My concern with casting him in the MCU is that when he inevitably comes into another Marvel movie, let's say 70% of the reviews are just going to talk about and be about, at least for the first couple of weeks, that, oh my God, Harry Styles is in a Marvel movie.
He's definitely,
and you're going to have all these people that are fans of his music and his lifestyle going to the movies to see that movie, buying it on demand, whatever, flooding the box office numbers, basically inflating them. Now, to how much, to what extent, I don't know. I hope not too much, because I don't want false numbers, obviously, but I mean, the fact that it's in the MCU, great. I think any working actor nowadays would more or less be, I guess, kind of honored to be in the MCU. Also, they're going to make crap tons of money.
Of course. When
they be in a big name movie like that, especially if you're someone like Harry Styles. Like, I know you haven't been in much as an actor if you're Harry Styles, but just because of your name, like, you're gonna get a ton of money.
Yep. Oh yeah, that was very like odd yet interesting to see kind of where they go with that. And
I did like Patton Oswalt as Pip Patrol though.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, that was funny. Sort of like I guess a pleasant surprise of a movie was kind of my takeaway, and like again, whenever something exceeds my expectations, I genuinely like it. And
I also am very excited to see Kit Harington come back as the Black Knight, especially, again, another end credit scene in that movie, especially if he's going to be in Blade with Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
I am really looking forward to that movie.
Yep. See, I had no idea about his character at all. Like you and
Black
Kyle
Knight.
kind of alluded to him. Yeah.
Yeah, Black Knight's
kind of talking
cool.
about.
He's kind of psychotic. Well, sort of psychotic. But he's cool.
Again, hindsight's 20/20. But I did feel like that guy kind of was. I wasn't like, that's the Black Knight, but I'm like, he's definitely gonna play some sort of role.
Well, I only knew he was a Black Knight because of his name.
Yeah.
Dane Whitman.
Right. I didn't know that. Obviously, do not really read the comics anywhere.
But yeah, I mean. Mahershala Ali is a phenomenal actor, so I'm like really looking forward to Blade. I think that Thor: Love and Thunder could be really good, even though it's probably going to be a comedy more than anything. I mean, I love Taika Waititi, don't get me wrong, but it's just going to make Thor a comedian again. But, you know, Jane Foster coming back, becoming Thor, that's going to be, I think, pretty cool. I know you're not super psyched, but I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the Jane Foster storyline I thought was done, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, that I will give you that. Like, it just kind of fell off out of nowhere after Thor 2.
Right.
And all of a sudden
I know Natalie Portman had some issues, too, with Marvel and contract disputes, what have you. So, I mean, I don't think it was anything like trying to get her out of the storyline. Like, I'm sure if that stuff, outside stuff didn't happen, she probably definitely would have played a bigger role in Avengers 3 and 4. I kind of really want to wrap it up because this will probably be, a good last chunk of the podcast, but let's sort of talk about what your expectations are, for Spider-Man No Way Home.
Expectations,
hopes, dreams, desires, whatever.
I hope it's good.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
I have nothing else.
So, I am like very, very, very fucking intrigued to see this movie because, as you know, I love the Raimi trilogy. Like, I loved all of them when I saw them, even though,
they're classics.
3's definitely aged, like, as I always say, like fine wine. But at the time, got a lot of flack because of Venom and stuff, and he wasn't supposed to be in the movie, and Sony forced Sam Raimi to get him in the movie. We know all that. But, man, like you said earlier, and like we've talked about before, if they do this movie right, dude, it definitely could be like Winter Soldier-esque.
It could be a pillar of the MCU.
Yes, like it could be like, it could get into my like top 3, if not like maybe, I don't know if it'll ever take the number 1 spot, but yeah, it's like, and that's not saying like it's only going to be good with Toby and Andrew. I think there are ways that we don't even know that it could be fantastic without them. Mm-hmm. But everything they've done, all these leaks that we've seen on social media, on Instagram, them in the blue screen with the car and the different suits, and then there's a shot of Andrew Garfield leaning back, holding on to one of the bars, saying something like, "You shoot web blood" or something. And Tobey Maguire hinting at things, like, it's just, I would be like shocked if they're not in the movie at this point.
What if Andrew Garfield filmed that in his basement and put it online himself?
Who knows, man? Who the hell knows how
to
these
promote
leaks
his new
get out?
Netflix movie that just came out.
You never know. That could be the case, but I don't know. I think it'd be very, very... I don't know how the hell they would have villains from the Sam Raimi trilogy and the Amazing Spider-Man films from that universe and not have even a 2-minute appearance.
I don't think they are. I think those villains are from similar universes.
Okay, well then why did they cast the same actors?
But not the same. Because it's all speculation, and I don't want to get into too much speculation, but Doctor Strange said they all died fighting Spider-Man. Then you get one of 2 routes. Either they retroactively change the universe that they come from, mm-hmm. say that they pull Green Goblin before he gets stabbed, then they're retroactively changing the Sam Raimi universe. Or 2, they come from a similar Raimi-verse, except for the fact that they didn't die, or they didn't get to finish their fight with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's
But Andrew, they definitely are, because there's a shot in the second trailer where Doc Ock literally is grabbing Peter Parker. He goes, "You're not Peter Parker." So how can you sit there and say then he's not referring to Tobey Maguire?
I'm not saying that he's not. If by that logic you're going by the one where he gets pulled from the universe that he didn't finish the fight with Spider-Man, mm-hmm. he can still figure out who Spider-Man is and then get pulled from mm-hmm. the universe before he finishes his fight. Yeah. So he knows who Peter Parker is.
I think it'd be very tricky to not like have them or even mentioned in this movie. But like I said, if they do it right, it could be just as good with them not in it than with them in it. So, who knows what they do. I'm so excited to see it. I have a lot of faith because, both the previous John Watt directed Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home were both very good. I loved both of them. And, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. We always say this, I think Tobey was a much better Peter Parker, and Tom Holland, in my opinion, was like just as good. I mean, Tobey Maguire was perfect as Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but Tom Holland's such a good like kid, kind of innocent, trying to find his way in life,
ignorant to the way the world works.
Right, Peter Parker / Spider-Man. So, and one thing he said that I keep thinking of is Tom Holland said on record, like, this movie is not going to be what people think. It's going to be brutal and like depressing and sad. So
good.
Good. Right. That exactly.
That's
good.
how you bring out the best in actors.
Exactly.
Do
and,
it.
Like there's a shot in the second trailer. It opens like he like looks beat up and just down in the dirt. It's raining and he just like has this depressing, sad, defeated look on his face.
Good.
So it's like he's got to kind of.
Comic books are not always sunshine and rainbows.
Hearing like Willem Dafoe's voice in that when he has that voice line, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to see Willem Dafoe as a Goblin. He was so freaking good. Alfred Molina, obviously unbelievable as Doc Ock.
But I mean, look forward for a review style episode after that movie comes out.
We're definitely going to be talking about that. Then we also plan to review and talk about the Sam Raimi trilogy with our buddy Kyle at some point. So that's definitely on the horizon.
He's the resident expert on those movies around here.
We all mess with each other and always quote those movies.
I mean,
all the time.
Christian and I love the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but Kyle loves the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
Kyle probably could quote all three beginning to end. He knows them that well.
So I think to wrap up, we should do one quick final thing. I kind of already started it, but to just go through real quick and say which future Marvel movies we're looking forward to. I got Blade, Thor 4. I think Guardians 3 just because of James Gunn.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hasn't failed with the Guardians movie yet. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yep, I agree.
But those are probably my big three. I'm probably forgetting one or two.
Captain America 4, of course.
Yeah, but that's like...
Who knows when.
That's just announced by title. But yeah, go ahead. Tell me what you think.
No, I mean, I agree. I'm intrigued to all of those because, they're already established characters.
Well, with the exception of Blade.
All know, with the exception of Blade, right? I got to go back and watch. There was an older movie.
Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, all right. Kevin loves that movie. Our buddy Kevin we work with. Dude, honestly, like at this point, anything Marvel produces, I'm gonna go see. Like, they've just hooked me. So
begrudgingly or not.
Yeah, I'm intrigued with all of it. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Taika Waititi. They're all great. So yeah, that Cap 4, and of course, like I said, No Way Home. I cannot wait to see. I'm so excited. I know you're very, 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 very cautiously, somewhat optimistic, I guess.
If they do the multiverse right, I will be happy.
Right. But again, like hopefully they just focus on Peter Parker and Spider-Man and not Doctor Strange. We already know you, Doctor Strange. You can have your sequel and have your own separate movie. You do not need Spider-Man to be a preview for your movie. Spider-Man, I'm sorry, is a way bigger, more important, well-liked character than Doctor Strange. That's not even a fucking debate. Sorry, it's not. But, again, it scares me because a lot of your predictions with this shit always fucking come true, so I hope you're wrong that it's not just a preview or a stepping stone for Doctor Strange 2.
Just consider me a soothsayer.
Oh my god, but yeah, so again, sorry about the hiatus. We're going to try to, be popping out more episodes, more content, hopefully some short films at some point that Andrew has in the works.
Video essays.
Yeah.
I got a good one coming up for Christmas time.
Right. And, who knows, maybe some gaming footage too and stuff that once we figure that out. But try to get more and more content up besides just the podcast. But thank you guys for sticking around. And we'll see you on one side or the other.
Tell your friends.
Grandma,
family. Mailman.
Yeah, everyone.
Dog walker.
Yep. Again.
Refrigerator install man.
Eddie, I'm talking to you, pal.
That's right, Aiden. You better be listening.
Yep.
We'll find you.
All right, see ya.
Catch you later.